Here's motherfucking! Here's motherfucking! Here's something funky! He thinks it's awesome!
Hey everyone, this is me, the Untitled Viking, and this is Dragon Boats of the Four Seas, a game designed by Michael Schacht and from Maple Games, from our friends up in Canada, eh? Sorry about that. Anyway, I live near Canada. I go there every year to go fishing, so I feel like I can make that really poor joke. But anyway, regardless, this is a game for 2 to 4 players, on which each player is going to. It's a bidding game where you will be bidding for different resources, and those resources will allow you then to send your meeples or explorers out to search these hidden islands that were once hidden but now there, or travel along these mountain paths that are fraught with danger and treasures and whatever. This is a game where turn structure is very, very important. It is like a 6-turn game. You can play with less turns if you wish. It is a 6-turn game of 4 phases each. It doesn't last too long. It lasts the perfect amount of time, and as the game progresses, it becomes more and more difficult because as the islands and the mountain paths get explored, the options become less and less, and so the puzzle then is figuring out how am I going to get my explorer to, island spot A or B or whatever to collect the treasures or to collect the different resources that are there that are going to enable me to win. It is a really, really fun game, and like I said, it's like lasts right at that perfect time, like that hour, maybe a little over an hour if you playing with new players or the first time you've ever played. But let me show you how the game actually is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Let's learn how to play Dragon Boats. Okay, so what you see in front of you is the large central island where you'll be doing your bidding during one of the first phases of the game. And then you'll see these other islands off to each kind of compass quadrant type of situation, northwest, east, south, where these will be boats. This is a prototype, so these little cardboard rectangles here will eventually be these really cool looking boats that these cardboard rectangles will sit in. But regardless, these boats then, after they are filled with journeymen, travelers, meeples, whatever, they will travel to these islands that are in these 4 different quadrants, and they'll be able to collect different treasures and these little scoring tiles, which I'll explain here in just a little bit. How the game works is that as I said, there are 4 phases. There is a bid phase, a pay phase, an explore phase, and then a storage phase. And, technically, these all roll together pretty quickly, so you don't really feel like there's a start, stop kind of thing going on. But turn order and who goes first really comes into play a great deal. Anyway, so the way the game works to begin with is that each player is going to have these little bidding discs, and they'll use these to place into these locations here, which will allow them to bid for either these goods that are located on these tiles, and these tiles are randomly drawn out of a bag, and they're put onto those spots. Or you can go to this spot here, which allows you to trade a good for either a random good and a food. And food's important because it allows your travelers, your explorers, to travel farther. But I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Or you can trade in a treasure for one of these cards. And there's 2 cards that are shown at the beginning of a round. And there's the deck you can also draw from the top of the deck. And those are just ways you can break the rules. And I'll show you those cards here in just a little bit. The way bidding works is also, I apologize, that there is this track here, which is the turn order track. So you're going to have 6 different phases or 6 different turns. You can shorten this if you want. You don't have to play with all of them. But on these cards, there are little rewards. And so you can see here, if you choose to put your disc on this, the 5th turn, you'll get 3 random goods, you'll get 5 money, you'll get a food, you'll get a treasure, and you'll get one of those cards for choosing that as your option. Now you'll be saying, well, why wouldn't I just take that? Well, each person has a finite number of these bidding discs, and you're going to put one of these on this chain over here. you don't get that bidding disc until you get to that round. So like Pink here decided, hey, I just want to have 2 goods and 3 money, but I'm going to get a bidding disc earlier than everybody else, and I'm going to get that. You know, so you're just kind of weighing the reward that you get against your options or your what you're able to do during the turns. And as you can see, there's 6 turns, and you can't put one either at the beginning or the end. So you just have to you pick these ones in the middle. So you can't, you know, put one right away at the beginning and then have all your bidding discs the whole time. All right, so bidding works really simply. Like, you'll determine a first player. Let's just say Pink's the first player, and they're going to look and they're going to say, you know what, I really want one of these cards, and they're going to put their bidding disc there. Now, there is only 5 spaces, but you can stack bidding discs. So let's say Purple goes next, and Purple, let's say, like, really wants to be able to, you know, get this ruby good, you know, because they want to be there. So they're going to place that on that spot. But you might think, okay, great, they're going to get that. However, what can happen is another player can go ahead and place their bidding disc on top of yours. Now what that means is the bidding disc that's on top of yours is going to actually get to choose their item before you. However, they have to pay an extra coin. Normally, you're just paying 1 coin for this. So if this is the only person you resolve that, it'd be 1 coin to resolve that, and you just get to pick your thing. However, if you are stacked up on top of somebody, now Orange would have to pay 2 coins to be able to take their item. And if Blue decided, you know what, I really like that spot, I'm going to go 2, and they're going to have to pay 3 coins for it. Now, if you decide you don't want to, you can just pay nothing and get nothing. That's your option. But you have to, like, as things get stacked up, the cost for those things will increase. Now, the money track keeps track of your money right here. There aren't like money coins or anything like that, so you just move your track up and down depending on what you get. So I'm just gonna, you know, throw these on there. I'm not really, you know, trying to do it in any specific way. I just want you to be able to see, you know, what people possibly could do in these situations. All right, so there we go. We've done, well, the bidding gets done, and now we will go on to the resolving each of these particular spots, and then people are going to take the rewards. Now, there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so you're going to obviously start with 1, and you're going to move on. So now, once again, not only is it like who gets to claim the item, it's important, but also important, like you don't want to spend a bunch of money to begin with when you really want to, like, maybe something later on, and that's where that decision comes up, where, oh, do I spend it now, do I spend it later, you know, what am I going to be able to get? But, so, you know, so here, like, I'm the only person, so they'd pay a coin, you move that down there, and then you pick the item you wanted. So, you know, maybe you wanted this, so here's like a good that actually has 2 options on it for goods. That's actually a pretty cool thing to have. You go ahead and place that down. Now, I'm putting that in this little storage spot here. You can have more than 3. However, after the turn gets done, you can only save 3 of those tiles. That's why that storage spot is there. So the next one goes, and so now, if I was purple, I was like, oh, I really want to, oh, I apologize. I can do this. Immediately after you do your turn, and this is in turn order, and the turn order is determined by whose turn it is. So purple went, and I did that. What I can do at that point is, if I have the good that allows me to pay for passage on one of these boats, I can go ahead and choose to do that. Now, here's a couple of interesting situations that I have. There's this boat right here, and I'm going to just say this little number here. That's the beats per minute. The higher that number, the quicker that boat gets resolved. This game is all about turn order and what goes faster. So the beats per minute, that is not like they got a stereo going on, nothing like that. It's like, think of like the drummer that tells them how fast to row. If he's telling them to row faster, that boat leaves faster. All right, so there's 1 spot available on this boat, and I have to pay, you know, I have to pay that little leaf there to be able to ride on that. Now, during my random draw, I got one of those leaves right there, so I could go ahead and place it in that spot, and I'd be able to take this boat. I'd be the only person on that boat, and I get to go. However, let's take a look at this boat here. Now, this boat, as you can see, has a 68 for its BPM, and there's 3 spots located. These 2 meeples up here say basically as soon as there are 2 people on this boat, it will launch. So it can have 3, but as soon as 2 people, it'll go. But there's 3 locations. Now you'll notice that there is like a ruby and that emerald there. Well, also during my random draw at the beginning, because I picked this particular spot and I got to take 2 goods, I got one of those little emeralds or jades or whatever they are. I could go on this boat, but I have to get a ruby. Now, there's a ruby possibly over here, but I'm on the bottom of that track, so the chances are, people are probably maybe take that ruby before I can get there. However, you'll notice that the middle spot on the boat has an X over a good, meaning you can pay 1 less good to be able to ride on that boat. So there's also 2 other spots. Now, there's the front spot and the back spot. Now, the back spot is important because they control where the boat goes. They'll decide, in this case, whether they're going to go to this island or that island. The front spot is cool because the front spot is you get out first. You get out of the boat first, and you can be able to pick your rewards first when you get to the island. Once again, here's that little timing of who goes first and so on and so forth is really, really important with dragon boats. Alright, so in this case, it was my turn. I'm going to pay this good, and I'm going to place one of my meeples onto that spot right there. That boat's going to go when we go off into the wildlands there, and I'm going to be able to go to either this spot or that spot, and I'm going to be able to get some rewards, which I'm really excited to do. Alright, I'm going to speed things up a little bit because basically I only have the purple available. So let's say we got on here, and luckily, the other 2 players took those 2 locations. So I'm like, sweet. So I still get that ruby. I'm going to take that ruby, and now what I'm going to end up doing is I want to hold on. I want to hold on to one of these goods because I want to have goods later on in the game, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place one of my meeples in the middle of that spot. And let's just say maybe orange had already placed their meeple in that location there, so I know it was going to go. I'm going to pay 1 less good, and I'm going to be able to take off on that one next. And for example, also let's say pink, puts one on there as well somehow. Maybe they got the goods when they did their random draw or what have you. So they're in those spots. So now that one's going to go. Alright, so now, and always remember to take your discs off when they're taken, otherwise you could repeat things. So these get taken off. I'm not going to go through the whole process. Now we get here, orange would take there. Now I would pay 2 coins, I would have paid 1 coin there and another 2 coins, like so. I'm going to pay 2 coins, and what I'm going to do is I can either trade a good into a good and a food, or I can trade in a treasure, which I don't have, into a card, which is unfortunate because cards are awesome, but I'm hopefully going to be able to get a treasure coming up here very soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade in because I want the food. Food allows you to travel faster, so I'm going to take, remember I spent this. So I'm going to spend my emerald, and I am going to reach into the magical bag of random goods. I'm going to take one out. Let's see what I got. Hey, I got another ruby. That's awesome. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and put that there. And I should say, just because it's a ruby, it doesn't mean it's more valuable or anything like that. It just happens to be, something like it just happened to be the same thing, which I thought was cool. All the goods are fairly interchangeable as far as those things are concerned. Now, I've got these placed. Now, there is a second thing that you can do. You can place meeples, and I'm just going to say that maybe orange and pink did this. For any 3 goods, you can go ahead and place your meeples on the mountain paths. And the mountain paths are also another place where you can go. But it's any 3 goods. It doesn't matter what it is. You can just trade them in, and you can be on those mountain paths. Alright, so now we're going to go to the exploration. So exploration, as before, you're going to do the mountain paths. The A path goes before the B path goes. The rule is the rule of 3. You get to move 3 spaces, and then if you have a food, you can pay 1 food card for every extra space you want to go. You'll notice these paths have, like, here's a coin, here's the food, here's a card there, and so on and so forth. Those are all, if you walk onto those spots, you immediately get that reward for going onto that spot. Now, if you go onto a spot that has one of these tiles, and these tiles are very important because they're worth extra points at the end of the game, you immediately stop your meeple, you leave the meeple there, and you will also gain the tile that's on that spot. The reason you leave the meeple there is because you're trying to bunch up your colored meeples together to get bonus points, and I'll explain that when we talk about the end of the game. So very quickly, like if orange went here, boom, they get a coin, maybe they go here, boom, they get a food, and then they go in here and they take this tile. And here, and when they take the tile, they immediately, check it out, here's like an end game scoring tile. And so these are going to, basically what that does is it's going to make any of the cards they have, worth a point at the end of the game. So it's an end game scoring thing. And so then here we have, maybe, orange will go here, here, and then go to that one, because maybe they want to try to get their meeple, their farmers together in that spot. And here they go, they get an automatic bonus of some food. So it's just, you get there, you get that tile, and it's going to give you a little bonus. All right, so now let's check out, so the beats per minute, these two didn't get any meeples on them for whatever reason. This one's going to go first. Not that it's probably going to really matter, but occasionally when these things get filled out and they don't have as much space, you can kind of look at the other players. You can see that, oh, you don't have a lot of food, you don't have a lot of, be able to move your meeple once it gets onto the island. I'm going to go to a spot where like all the good spaces have been taken, so I kind of jam you a little bit that way. But regardless, so the pink player is going to be able to choose which island they want to go to. They're going to choose that island, so they're going to go there. And so the first one off is the orange, and then you have to use this spot first. You can't. I'm gonna stop off here. This is the landing spot. So orange will go here, and then maybe they're gonna get that coin, and they're gonna go there. And so now what you have is you have this set collection aspect. So the more of the same tile that you get, the more points these are going to be worth at the end of the game. All right. So, and then now I get to go purple. And remember, I've got these 2 food. So it's one of those things where it's like, God, I really want a treasure, but I can't get to the treasure unless I spend all my food, and then I have to go straight back and I wouldn't be able to take it, because I could spend 2 food to go 2 extra spaces. But actually, wait a minute, I could actually do this. I could go 1, I get a food, I get a good, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, I get a treasure, so I could take this, and I can get a coin, and I get a random good. Let's just go ahead and grab that, see what I got. Oh, another ruby, as luck would have it. And now I can, if I spend both of my food, I can go, I'm gonna go here. And I'm gonna take this, and I'm gonna see what I get. And I got a fish. And so I'm gonna keep that tile on my board. But I'm gonna spend both my food to do that. Now, the treasure, I wanted that treasure card because I'm going to be able to go here next. These are gone, obviously, but next time if I go here, I'm going to be able to take one of those cards because I'll have a treasure to be able to trade in for that. So, and then the final one, the pink will go, and maybe they'll just go. They don't have any food, so it's 1, 2, get a coin, and they'll go here, and they're going to get a pig. Woohoo, pig! So that's how that goes. So after that turn after all the exploration is done, now you do the storage, which if you have more goods than you have spaces, you have to get rid of those. However, you can sell them. If you have too many, you don't just lose them. You can sell them for a coin each. You can also just choose to do that as well if you don't have a lot of money, which, obviously, if you don't have money, you might want to do that. I mean, I'd be thinking of it. However, you do have the option when you're doing bidding is you have these 2 private action spots right there. And if you place one of your discs in the private action spot, you get 2 coins. You can't place more than one in there, but you are able to get coins that way if you weren't able to get some earlier when you're moving around the board. Then, if there are any boats that were taken, remember these 2 boats were taken, you're going to go ahead and replace those on the board, like so, and put 2 new options for boats for people to take. For every good that was taken, you'll reach into the bag, and you'll replace those. And if there were any cards taken, you're going to replace those as well. The game will, and so the next turn goes, so you flip this over, to show that you're on the next turn. Pink's going to get their bidding token back, and then we'll do the second turn, and you go on like that until the very end. And then you're going to do your final scoring. The Hex Tile Sets, ones with the 3 on them, as you can see in the rules. For every 1, it's worth 1 point. For every 2, you get 2 points each. For 3, you get 3 points each. You can get, it kind of multiplies up there. And then for every extra, you get those extra points, so it will stack as it goes. With the 4 points, the exact same thing happens, where it's like 2 are worth 4 points, 3 are worth 3 points, but 4 of them count as 16 points. So you don't, they're worth more at the end. Plus, there are cards that you can draw that will actually count as bonus ones as well. The other things that you can do is, well, resources. For every remaining resource, you get a point. For every gold you still have are worth a point. But food is worth 0 points, but actual coins aren't. Gold is like this little token right there. Also, farmers that are next to each other will count towards extra points. Let me just kind of set it up so you can see this. So, in this case, you have these 2 farmers next to each other, so this one's worth 2 and this one's worth 2. That would be worth 4. Orange is by himself, so that's worth 1 point, and this would be worth 4 as well. If Pink had had all 3 of these locations, each of these farmers would be worth 3 points each, totaling a total of 9. After you figure out who has the most bonus points, you score the final score, and then whoever has the most points obviously will be the win. If there's a tie, whoever has the most money left over then is the winner. And if you're still tied to that, then you can both high-five each other and share in the victory. This is a very clever, very straightforward game that, as I said, it is the turn structure that you always have to be aware of. But also, you have to balance your resources very well as well. I've always felt like I needed money in this game. I never had enough money to do the bids I wanted. I never had enough money to set myself up for later turns, things like that. And it was very challenging, and I had a lot of fun challenging myself and my friends while I played it. But let me talk about that and more in my final thoughts. Oh, yeah, baby. Dragon Boats of the Four Seas. All right, so quick little thing. Michael Schacht, he is like one of the very first designers I ever knew about. When I first got into the whole board gaming thing, and I was playing a lot of Ameritrash stuff, and I still, that's, where my heart lies. But, I definitely branched out and I play lots of different games, and I'm not an omnivore of games. I don't really buy into that. I did find a game for cheap on Tanga. Now, Tanga is like a really weird site now. Well, it isn't really. It's a deal-a-day site. But back in the day, it was a deal-a-day site, but it had lots of board games that they sold. And they were from this company called Uberplay, which doesn't exist anymore. Uberplay, because I believe the guy who ran Tanga also ran Uberplay. And so Uberplay had these games, and one of the games they had was this game called Hansa. And I bought it sight unseen because I think it was $6. I was like, yeah, I'll buy it. And I got it, and I was like, first time I played it, I was like, ugh, this is really dry. But then as I played the game, it got better and better because it was just one of those things where, yes, it was a little bit of a... It was probably the first soulless Euro I ever played, and I still own it, and I really, really like it. And it kind of tuned me into Michael Schacht, and I found that I really, really enjoy his games, and I really enjoy the way... And Zularetto, which was, I think he won Game of the Year with that, was a game that my daughter and I have enjoyed a ton. But anyway, that is absolutely nothing to do with Dragon Boats of the Four Seas, other than the fact that the designer has a really good pedigree. And if he watches this, I hope you understand that I thank him very much for all the fun that he's given me in my board game life. But regardless, Dragon Boats of the Four Seas, what do I think of it? As I already said, it's a lot of fun. It has two things that I really like. I like bidding and auction. A lot of people shy away from auction games just because they think it's, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here. It's a little bit too, it can be intimidating, right? And it can be very, very tense too. It's 1, 7, 8, 9, 12, and people are and there is a little bit of I don't know, a vociferous attitude going on with it. You know, it can be very combative because of the fact that you and the other players are kind of arguing over it. But this bidding is not so much like that, because all they're doing is they're putting a pawn someplace, and you have to decide if you want to go to that exact same place and pay extra. Admittedly, pay extra so you can have first grab at whatever thing is there, but you have to decide if it's worth your money to do so. And that is probably one of the best decisions that you make in this game. Do I put my token there first because I want to get it cheap, or do I plan on putting my last token there because I want to make sure that I get the best choice, and I want them because there's something I really want in that spot, and I really like that decision. It really makes you think, what do the other players want? What are they going to go for? When am I safe in putting this? And because you play this game with open knowledge, you can see how much money each person has. You can see, you know, what goods they have. You can kind of get an idea, a plan as to where they're going to go and what they're going to do. Then that whole turn structure, that timing thing, I love games with timing. I love games where it's like you have to figure out exactly when you need to do this thing at that time so you can maximize your potential. And that's like the other part of the trick, the other part of the story problem that you're working through that you got to actually answer. And it's something that I've always enjoyed that aspect in any of the games that I've ever played. And when you combine the fact that you have this bidding and you combine it with that, it's just a game, like I said, it's got lots of cool, fun decisions, and it's taxing. I'm not going to say it's a really heavy game, but for the lightness that it looks like, it definitely has a heavier feel to it. Not so much as far as figuring out the mechanisms of it, not at all, but it's the whole the process of trying to determine, you know, how am I going to figure out this turn. And that's where I kind of really enjoyed it. Now, I mentioned the cards, and I was gonna talk about these really quick. So, lots of different cards, like I said, they break the rules in some way. Sometimes the cards, and this is one it said score +1 point for every ability card. And that's just a card that you just have at the end of the game, and then it gives you more points. I like this one where it's like steer. You may direct a boat to any location. Any of the spots. So if you have that card, you can do it. Now, a lot of these cards are like a one-time thing, but some of these cards will say permanent on them. So here's this card that says storage on it, and it just gives you an extra storage space during the storage turn, so you can hold over more items later. Then there's also ones where it's like, every time you, like this is a really good one if you're like going for cards, you know, take an extra treasure. For extra, you know, so like treasure is always going to be worth money and points and whatever, so you want to make sure you do those things as well. I also mentioned that like there's cards where like this poultry farm, it counts as an extra chicken. You know, so you have those things that you can, like, you have a card and you're going to be able to multiply down and your points later on. And remember, these are the cards that like they're going to show up face up, that you can see, but you can take the blind one. But like if you've got like 3 chicken farms and that chicken farm card pops up, you know you want to go there and you want to pay whatever price you have to, so you can, you know, cash in and have like tons and tons and tons of points to make sure that you know, because then you can get the 4 and you get the 16 total points for having 4 chicken farms. So I like the cards. I like the fact that, like I said, they break the rules in some way. And I think in games like this, where there is not a lot of randomness. I mean, there is some randomness as far as like the random boat, that what it needs, you know, drawing the tokens out of the bag, those sorts of things. But I like when players are able to kind of break like and skew the way the game is going in some way, like alter it in like to their favor. If things are going poorly, if they can't get to a certain island they want to, that card that allows you to steer to any island, perfect card for that type of thing. You know, it opens up the game and doesn't keep it as deterministic as it possibly could be. But anyway, I love Dragon Boats. It was a lot of fun. I think it played really well with 4 players. When I played it with my daughter at 2 players, I liked it actually a great deal, because for us then with 2 players, one, you can shorten the game up a little bit so it's over quickly, but we also were able to like kind of like feel out the game a great deal, and it also you wasn't as taxing on my brain, and it definitely turned into more of a family game at that point, and that's something that I really appreciated about it. But yeah, you got to figure out. I mean, like in gaming groups, like you always have. Like I have like the 3 guys that I always turn to. And they are, bam, they're like, we are aggressive and we will claw at each other for that victory. And then I have another 3 guys I play with, and it's just like, it's the game isn't even what we're playing. It's just like that thing that's on the table and we're having a conversation. And so this game works well for both groups, but also, like I said, playing this with my wife, playing this with my daughter, it was, you could play it a little more, like less confrontational, I guess would be the way to put it, and it still kind of had those fun, tough decisions as well. So there you go. Dragon Boats of the Four Seas. If you have any questions about it, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And this is me telling you, hey, be the best version of you that you can possibly be. Be the person that people want to hang out with. Remove the toxicity from your life and just be positive. You get one trip. Make sure it's the best trip you can possibly take. All right. Take care of yourself. Until next time.